We begin this morning's lecture. We continue with the 8 consciousnesses, explanations on the 8 consciousnesses. There's a Yogacara Sastra classified the whole universe into 660 dharmas, which means that if you want to study the world, you study everything about the world, and Milapusa, Maitreya Buddha, Maitreya Bodhisattva, categorize everything in the world into 660 dharmas to explain it. You can't explain it indefinitely. The world cannot be explained actually indefinitely. So he used 660 dharmas in the Sastra, in Yogacara Sastra. But then a later philosopher classified it into 100 dharmas. It's easier to remember. And 100 dharmas is in 2 categories, conditioned dharmas and unconditioned dharmas. So everything in this world, everything, literally I mean everything in this world is either conditioned or unconditioned, no exception. What do we mean by conditioned and unconditioned? That, by the way, why do we need to study so complicated? To beginners, this seems to be so complicated, so profound, and it's deep philosophy, profound psychology. Why do we have to go into such a depth in the Buddhist teaching? Remember what we talked about last time? Everything originates from a thought. And when we're thinking, when we have a thought, what do we need? What do we need in order to think? We must have words, languages, some concepts in order to think. If you don't know water is water, how can you think about water? So you need words. Words precede thinking. And actually, these words, you didn't learn these words in this lifetime. In previous lifetime, you already have that latent energy of words in your alaya consciousness. In this lifetime, your mom, your dad just teach you how to arouse the words consciousness in you. So your mom said, this is water, this is milk, this is brother, this is dad, this is mom, those are the words. With these words, then you have thought. With thought, when you have thought, then you know how to think, then you carry your thought into either speech or action. When speech and action is repeatedly performed, it becomes a habit. When certain habitual behavior is repeated, it becomes your personality. Your personality determines your destiny. So if you want to change your destiny, what do you want to change? Your thought. That's what we're studying. Thinking. We study thinking. The Buddha's teaching goes into deep detail of how do we think? How does a thought arise? And then before even that, the Buddha analyzed the objects of which you think. The whole world, everything in this world is conditioned or unconditioned. What are conditioned dharmas? Conditioned dharmas are those that given birth to, becoming, sustaining, arising, then disintegrating, life and death. The spring, then we have spring, summer, autumn, winter. It goes spring, everything comes up, flowers are blooming and all that, and then it comes summer, sustaining all these plants and life, and then it comes autumn, where this slowly, gradually disintegrating, and winter comes, all the plants wither away. And we have cycles. Everything has a cycle. How about human? You're giving birth to, you're a baby, and then you're a teenager, then you're adult, then you're a senior, and finally you die. Everything is conditioned based on conditions. We live based on conditions. Nothing is without conditions. Whatever you do, costs. Conditions are costs. So there are costs, then come in effect, and in between there are conditions which bring the cost to effect. Everything is like that. Is there anything in this world that is not conditioned? It comes boom, without conditions to come out. Do you come out, do you get into this world without a condition, without a reason? You're being born in this world without a reason? No. So many reasons behind. You think about it. Nothing is without a reason. There must be a cause and effect. Now, how does this philosophy help you? I already have gone through that, but I don't want to go too deep into that, otherwise I can't go on. So conditions or unconditioned Dharma. Unconditioned Dharmas are those that goes beyond materiality, goes beyond thinking, goes beyond conditions, unconditioned Dharmas. Okay? So we have this conditioned Dharmas. It's 8 consciousnesses, 11 forms, 51 concomitant mental functions, and 24 Dharmas neither form nor mental functions. Very complicated they seem, but don't get scared. If you think about it and conscientiously follow it, it helps you. It helps you to analyze the world. It helps you to lead a happier life because you're in control of your thought. When you're in control of your thought, whatever your mind conceives a thought, the mind can carry it out. That's usually what the positive thinkers talk about. But they don't go deep into that. They just say, you must think positively. Whatever you think you can do, you'll be successful. But they didn't go as deep as what the Buddha said. Go deep into it before you carry out this positive thinking. Everybody knows positive thinking is important. But nobody explained it in such a detail as the Buddha. The only thing about Buddha is just a religion where you prostrate, you pray, and then you blindly believe in the Buddha, and that's it. The Buddha said, no, go into the elements of the world. All right? Okay, so we talk about consciousness already. Now, quickly, what are these consciousnesses? Eye consciousness, vision, audition, olfaction, taste, tactility, mentality, mano consciousness, manas, it's the ego consciousness, alaya consciousness. We have 8 consciousnesses in us. We already talked about it in detail for many, many hours, for 10 hours, 12 hours, I don't know how many hours we have. But somebody told me that it's always worth repeating it so that it's get grounded in our mind. So these are the consciousnesses that you have, I have, all sentient beings have. And then let's go back to there. I talked about this already for many hours. Forms. What are these forms? Consciousness is about mentality, about your senses. Senses have to be interactive with objects. If there are no objects, the sense have no function. Imagine if there's no materiality in this world, how can your eyes see? If there's no sound in this world, how can your vision function? So you got to have objects for these senses to work. So in other words, you are the subject. You need object, right? So everything is object to you. You are the subject. You are the viewer. You are the speaker. So all your eyes, ears, nose, taste, all that have objects. If there are no objects, there's no world. So consciousness creates the world, not God. It's the thought that creates the world. The thought creates a plane. A thought creates you. When a young man and a young woman come together, they have this thought that they want to match. That creates you, not God. Forms, eyes and objects, ears and sound, nose and smell, tongue with taste, body with what? Body with everything you touch, everything you see. So you have, and then forms included in Dhamma Ayatana. What does that mean? forms that you cannot visibly see. If you close your eyes and think about yesterday I went to Tallis Garden downtown. I went to the cafeteria. I had my morning breakfast in there. You think about that form. You think about the coffee that you have, the pastry that you have, the waiter that came up to serve you. All these forms in your mind, but those are the past forms. Forms conceive in innermost impression. It's still form. Last night you were dreaming. You dreamt of last year you're going, at this time of the year, you're going to Las Vegas and you gamble and all that. And all these casinos and all these forms come in your mind. There's forms from inner impressions. Those are the forms that is in you that you think about. That's the reason why you always recollect the past and you worry about the future. What happened in the future if I lie in the hospital and at my last moment that I breathe my last breath and I suffer from sickness? All those are the forms. But those forms are not actual forms. Those are the inner impression forms. These inner impression forms every day arises in you. That's responsible for your being obsessed with the past and worry about future. But those forms are just illusionary. You hated that guy because that guy yelled at you 5 years ago. But that scenario is already gone. But you still brought the scenario back into your mind and you're obsessed with it and you hate it. But that thing is already gone. You were abused by your dad in your childhood. Oh, that's finished already. But every time when you are sitting still, you hated it. You hate your dad. You hate that scenario. But that's already gone. But you still have the hatred. Think about it. That hatred is illusory. But you habitually brought back that hatred in you and obsessed with it. You cry, you become sorrowful, you revenge. A momentary illusive form, a form produced by meditation. I talk about all these things already. And I remember I spent about an hour just on this slide, talking about innermost impressions and talking about a form produced by meditation. And also a perceptible form conceived, for example, a desert. When you're driving in a desert, you have a mirage. When you're driving in the summertime on the highway, you saw some water in there. But what it's just atmospheric conditions change because of light reflection with the heated air. But that's an illusion. That's a form. But that's an illusory form. Still a form. All right, so I already have explained that. And concomitant mental functions, I explain it when your consciousness come up, that is when your senses interact with the outer objects. At the same time, many things happen in your mind. Concomitant mental functions arise. And these are what generally interactive functions, particular functions, unwholesome functions, wholesome functions, and 4 indeterminate functions. In other words, whenever a thought comes up because of your sense interaction with the outside world, there are in you, in the alaya consciousness, 51 mental functions arising at the same time to help you to speak, to help you to think, to help you to carry out actions. Some of these are unwholesome, some of these are wholesome. And most of them are unwholesome. 26 of them are unwholesome. Why did somebody do bad things, bad habits, crimes, hatred, greediness, jealousy, disappointment, depression, revenge, violence? Why did that come up? Because when you interact with the outside objects, you're obsessed with it. Additionally, not just obsession, all these concomitant mental functions store in your consciousness, but at the same time, work with them to carry out speech and action. That's the reason why you yell, you curse, you fight, and you may even kill. That's how these things get carried out. So it's very important that we watch our thought, not just our speech. Some people say, watch your speech, watch your action. We should have changed it to watch your thought. Not the outer actions or speech, because speech and action comes from thought. Then when we say, how do I watch my thought? Do you know how you think? Do you know how a thought comes out? The Buddha told us how we think. When you know how you think, then you what? Then you meditate on every thought. What's the purpose of meditation? Meditation is to gear your mind internally to watch your own thought. Because your thought is 20 minutes non-stop, you know. Your mind never stops. 24 hours. Non-stop. Some people say, no, when I'm sleeping. When you're sleeping, your mano is still working. Get into dreams. Your mind never stops. Next is wholesome functions. 26 unwholesome functions we already finished. So let's talk about this wholesome functions, 11 of them. So in other words, when a thought comes up with all these concomitant mental functions, not just the bad ones that help you, some people have good thoughts, good concomitant mental functions in them. One of them is faith, confidence and belief. Faith is that which causes clarification of thought, belief and confidence with regard to its object. So you want to believe in something. You firmly believe in it. You firmly believe that you should not cause injury to others. You firmly believe that you should be compassionate. You should render kindness to others. So it is named faith. You believe in it. You believe in that, well, if I treat people well, then in return, they may treat me well too. But I don't want to look for just a return. I just want to render my compassion now, and I believe in it because everything that comes out bounces back to you. And I know that it's cause and effect, all that belief. You believe in that. It is faith because of direct realization to Buddha Dharma, such as the three jewels, cause-effect relationship, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, which means that the truth. You believe in some certain truth that you think that's truth. You believe in causing injury to others will be detrimental to your morality. And finally, it will bounce back to you that you suffer from casualties, from harmfulness and all that. And if you render kindness to others, more than just a return of kindness, you feel happy. That's your faith, that's your belief. And sometimes some people have a strong belief about that. Some people have stronger faith than others. You know why? Because some people are always suspicious of others. Some people are less suspicious of others. Next is diligence. Diligence is conscientiousness, self-control and heedfulness. Diligence is the cultivation and application of good dharmas. It is the guarding of the mind, the abandoning of non-virtuous entities together with the cultivating of virtuous entities. So some people have this diligence in them, wholesome functions. So in you don't just contain the bad things, the unwholesome functions in your mind, you also have the wholesome functions. And how come I have good and bad ones? Because when you were born, you carry your latent karmic energy from previous life into this life. It's not just this life that you have. This life is one of the many lives you have. There's a continuity in you. There's a cause in you. You just didn't come out from nowhere and then when you die, then you disappear. Your death is the beginning of the life of next one. But you don't want that life and death to continue. You always want to get away from life and death because life and death is nothing but suffering. The Buddha saw this many, many years ago, 2,600 years ago, and he said, go to the unconditioned. Go beyond life and death. Don't go back to reincarnation. How do you go beyond life and death? Nirvana. How to go to nirvana? All these methods of going to nirvana is contained in the Buddha's teaching. how to get beyond that. Some people say, okay, next life I'm going to be a rich man, next life I will be prettier, I will be taller, tougher, I will be more intelligent. That's what I want in the next life. No, that's not what you should want. You should want to get away from these, get away from reincarnation. Some people always believe that if I have a next life, I want to be a multi-billionaire, I want to be very beautiful, I want to be very handsome, I want to be very intelligent. They always want. Desires. That's actually your problem. Imagine what happened to you when you become a multi-billionaire in your next life. In your next life, see how multi-billionaires behave in this life. When you are a multi-billionaire, you start to commit bad karma, because a lot of your girlfriends will come to you because you're rich, and because you want to maintain the integrity of your assets. You want to do all kinds of things that will induce bad karma on other people. You will set up businesses that would aim at nothing but making profit. You will create a lot of casinos, you will create a lot of slaughterhouses, you will create a lot of, bad karmic inducing businesses. And you will be in luxuries, and then you create a lot of bad karma. What happened in your next life then? Then you roll into the next life to become poor. So rich one life, poor another life. That's how we reincarnate. The Buddha said, get away from karmic reincarnation. Go to nirvana. Go beyond heaven. Heaven is still when all your merits have enjoyed. You have enjoyed all your merits. You still have to go back to reincarnation, life and death. That's why we are studying all these, to go beyond life and death. Not just life and death. Not just aiming at a better life next time. Go beyond life. It seems to be so abstruse, but you really have to go deeper into the Buddhist teaching to know what the Buddha is talking about in nirvana. Next, calm, tranquility, serenity, alertness. The mind is clever, light, apt, as opposed to torpor. Torpor is what? Drowsiness. This tranquility can also be achieved by relaxing the rigidity of the body and mind. It is the result of the right meditation. So when you're meditating, then you become calm. Some people are calmer than the others. Some people are easily agitated. Some people are very calm, carry a very good demeanor whenever it's behaving. People have different background, different calmness, different level of calmness. Some people have more, higher level. Some people have very low level of calmness. Equanimity, indifference, and renunciation. It is a mental indifference, the karma by which the mind remains equal, even, free from modification. The thought neither inclines towards nor turn away from the true and the untruth, abiding in equilibrium as a scale in perfect balance. Some people, if they are easily in equanimity, they don't easily get carried away. When they look at the riches of some people, they won't say, I want to be that rich. I want to enjoy that luxuries. They would distance from. They would be indifferent. They won't get carried away. They're always in equanimity. They won't get into obsession. Always calm and always striving to get to that equilibrium. You can never get to that equilibrium, but you're striving, gradually climbing to that equilibrium. And then, when that equilibrium really matches into one point, there's nirvana. It's just that when we study economics, we all talk about supply and demand, that curve. Supply, demand, supply goes up, then demand's falling behind, then demand goes up, supply getting higher. So it's always striving towards that equilibrium. That equilibrium, when everything is one and pure, that's nirvana. Next, 5, modesty. Conscience, bashfulness, embarrassment, shame in internal sense, inner shame, self-respect. It is due to the internal realization and belief of morality. I'll go to the number 6 first, and then I'll explain it together. Number 6 is shame. Fear of sin, consideration for others, dread of blame and punishment, shame in external sense, embarrassment, fear of the consequence of transgression. Shame has the cultivation of virtues as its preconditions, shame at doing wrong. What's the difference between modesty and shame? Embarrassment and shame. Conscience, bashfulness. Number 5, modesty, is when you did something wrong, you feel internally embarrassed. So in other words, you really feel not feeling well. So when you hurt someone, say when you, because of your temperament, I just give an example. There was a dog, when you're driving, there was a dog that is in your way, and out of, anger, why should a dog be in the road? Then you bump into the dog and kill the dog. But then afterwards, you feel very guilty. You feel shameful. Why did I kill an animal like that? Why don't I just stop and let the dog cross the road? You feel internally shameful. You feel guilty. That's good. That's a good, wholesome function. Whoever feels guilty of wrongs done, that's good. So whenever someone's come up to you and say, I'm sorry that I have done something wrong, always don't say, I don't recognize your shamefulness. Get away. Don't do that. Because that person is really turning to a good point. He feels guilty. He feels sorry about that, regretful about that. That's a wholesome function. That is not unwholesome. He did something wrong, right? He did something wrong, but he feels regretful. That's good. That's internally. There was this shame. Shame may not be internal. Shame is external. I killed that dog. What happened if the police watch me and copy down my plate number? And then they'll give me a call and they said he did something wrong. He's fearful of the society pointing fingers at him. He's fearful of his family pointing fingers at him. That's also good. But he may not internally feel shameful, but it's just fear and threat of blame and punishment. So when Tommy did something wrong, he may not internally feel it. He thought that is going to punish me, so I can't do it again. That is good, but that's just external. And sometimes external would combine with the internal with the external. But some people, they just fear of punishment. They don't care about killing that dog. If it is internally regretful, that person must have that compassion, his kindness internally. And if it's just external, he may not have that kindness. He just fear that he will be punished. But that's still good behavior, a wholesome function. All right, so that's the difference. 7, non-greed, absence of greed, detachments, non-attachment, absence of desire, the antidote to attachment, freedom from acquisitiveness. So some people are not greedy. When you're not greedy, when you're absence of desire, it does not mean that you are negative. Some people say, gee, you don't have any desire in you, so you don't want to do good. Now you're working for $12 an hour, and you don't show that you always want to strive for more money. So you are negative. You're not active enough. You feel happy with the $12 an hour. That's not what it means. You're not greedy. You are getting $12 an hour, but in you are a good worker. You don't care how much they pay. He gave me that job. I accept it at $10. That is fair. There's an offer, then there's acceptance. When I accept this job at $12, my mind would not be telling me to say, hey, you accept $12 an hour, you can only work 12. Don't put in too much efforts because they give you 12 only. I don't think that way. I accept that as fair. I want to do as best as I can. I'm not greedy for more. I just want to do a good job. Some people just put the greediness on the money and not the greediness for more efforts. That's the problem. As I always give an example, if your employer gives you $12 an hour, you accept it, but you put in $24 an hour. Your efforts is 24, it's worth 24. You know what happened? You will finally get 24 because you will be promoted. Because the company cannot get rid of you. But the company wants you to work in there because you're worth 24. So you're not greedy. You just want, you want to apply more efforts. You see the difference between a greedy person and a non-greedy person? A greedy person is always not satisfied. A non-greedy person, he is satisfied with what he accepted, but he will always strive for more efforts, work for more. He always put in the most, whatever he do, whatever he does. So that's non-greedy. So don't say that a Buddhist is negative, inactive, passive. A Buddhist is an investigator. Always want to investigate for more, investigate the universe, analyze it, and contemplate about it, and improve, not only on his own life now, he's going to improve in the future. He's not going to obsess with the past. He's going to be actively involved with the present. And in the future, he want to get away from this mass of reincarnation, mass of sufferings. He want to get away from that. So he's extremely active. He investigated more. He's a traveler. He put in his knapsack and he travel until he gets his destination. And sometimes he may stumble and fall. Get up again and continue walking. With this knapsack of what? 3 things. Morality, wisdom, and meditation. That's on his knapsack. With this, he carry on and on and on until he reaches that destination. He never sidetrack. He's non-greedy. Non-hatred, no ill will, non-aggression, avoidance of hatred, absence of anger, absence of hatred. Because he's always compassionate. No hatred. He didn't obsess with the past about people imposing bad actions on them. He always forgive because he has no hatred in his mind. Forgiveness. He always forgive. It does not mean that he's stupid for giving bad actions performed on him. His forgiveness is so massive that he has no hatred. He just continue to work. Absence of delusions. It is the right discernment prajna by nature. He always have that wisdom of trying to strive towards enlightenment. Not having the cleverness of increasing wealth, reputation, and fame and reputation. Some people just want to strive for more wealth, reputation, and status. Not about the real wisdom. The real wisdom, the prajna, is how to lead a happy life in this life and how to go beyond that conditioned world to get into that nirvana, which will forever get away from sufferings and mental afflictions. Harmlessness, attitude of non-harming, non-injury, non-violence. Non-violence is also non-cruelty. Harmlessness is the mental goodness. By the force of this, one does not harm others and becomes adverse to the harmful activities in which others indulge. Harmlessness. Not many people have these wholesome functions. Most people do not have these wholesome functions of harmlessness. You know why? Because some people said, I never kill any animals. Why am I harmful to them? You're eating meat every day. The slaughterhouses slaughtered those cows and chicks and chickens and ducks for you. You're not a vegetarian. You're indirectly promoting slaughtering animals for food. That's harmfulness. You become a vegetarian, you're indirectly supporting people not killing animals for food. You know, Visit some slaughterhouses on Google and website. You will find out how animals get killed, how the cows get killed, the chickens, the pigs, the ducks, how the animals, they were killed cruelly, but in a massive way, by machines. And some people cannot stand hurting animals. They're so compassionate. They have this wholesome function of harmlessness. They even promote in stopping people from killing seal for fur. You know how in the Nordic Ocean, in the northern part, how they kill seals for the fur? Very cruel. They skin them alive. And extremely cruel. And there are people who have this harmlessness in their heart that they want to promote non-killing. And some people will laugh at them. Stupid. I mean, animals should be killed for food, for fur. But these people particularly have that mental functions in their mind. Vigor, enthusiasm, persevering efforts, zeal, efforts, and diligence. Vigor has the nature of being energetic in the production and cessation of the wholesome and unwholesome dharmas. It is the exertion of the mind towards virtue. In other words, some people are very diligent in their work. They always want to try hard. People believe in the Buddhist teaching. The Buddha said, strive towards enlightenment. You must work hard at it. Don't be lazy. Always working hard at what you want. Of course, what you want must be in the right way. Vigor is you always maintain that high efforts, high diligence of working towards your goal. Imagine if you all have these wholesome functions, the whole world would be a much wholesome world to live in. But how many people have these wholesome functions? In terms of degree, some people have more, some people have less. Okay, I finished this wholesome functions, and I finished wholesome functions, which 11 wholesome functions. And next time I'm going to do indeterminate functions. And I finished concomitant mental functions that arise when you see things, listen to things, feel about things, when the senses interact with the outside world. These are the ministers that help the kings of consciousness to carry out speech and actions. You've got to study the whole parliament. You study the kings, the ministers, the backbenchers, all those in the whole parliament of your mind in order to run a good parliament.